This is Swiss and Chips, your British guide to Switzerland.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen zum Podcast Schweiz und Pommes frites. Mein Name ist Simon Zried und...
Mein Name ist Joe Fay. Hello, this is Swiss and Chips, and today's episode is all about Swiss German, which is hopefully goes some way to explain that introduction that we just had.
Well, it was just the same like you usually said. Like, hello and welcome to Swiss and Chips.
Yes, exactly. It took me a little while to realise exactly what you were saying, though. I think it was the expect the unexpected. So, we want to talk in this episode about learning Swiss German, or if you even should learn Swiss German at all.
Yeah, it's quite a difficult topic with loads of different sides to talk about, I think.
It certainly is. We went on a really long walk today and talked about it the whole time, so we're going to try and condense it. And in which case, let's get cracking. First of all, Simon, you're our expert on this topic, I would say. What's the difference between Swiss German and High German?
Well, Swiss German, I would say, is just kind of a dialect of High German, basically. That sums it up. So
yeah, Swiss German in a nutshell. It's a dialect and there's lots of different varieties of the dialect, we should say.
I think the main thing is to understand is German is a normal language for, you can't see me now, but I make this air quotes. It's a normal language.
Air quotes, closely related to Nike Airs.
Exactly. And Swiss German is, we speak Swiss German in Switzerland, but it's not we don't have rules or something. There is no written book and we have no written language, so it's only
spoken.
Yeah, so for example, if we write via SMS to someone, then everyone has a different way of writing. Basically, you just write the way you say something, and there is no rule, you can't write it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Although there are kind of like regular and expected ways within a certain variety of the Swiss German dialect, so that other people would also kind of write something in the same way, as far as I've seen.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, but not because you have seen it or something, just because you say it the same way and you write it like you say. So
okay. And so for someone who doesn't really know Switzerland at all, they have a kind of version of the dialect in Zurich, for example, and a very different version in Valais, for example, and something also different where you come from in the Bernese Oberland.
Yeah, every part of Switzerland, I mean the German-speaking part, has a different dialect, basically. But most of them can understand each other. There are quite more extremer, like the Valais or Bernese and Zurich, I guess. Everyone can understand.
Okay. And for someone who can speak High German or Standard German already really great, would they be able to understand Swiss German?
Well, maybe I can explain like that. If on German TV, if there is an interview with a Swiss German, they would subtitle it because most of the German would not understand the Swiss German. The other way around is not a problem, because if we go to school or kindergarten, I think we're like from 5, 6, 7 years old, everything you learn is High German, because then you can also, the books that are in German that we read and the books that we learn out from is all written in German, so we learn it at school. Mm-hmm. And also, like I just said, the TV programs and stuff, we watch it, most is in High German. Okay. So Swiss understand the German very well, but the German not so good. But I think the way from High German to Swiss German is not so far, like from French to Chinese.
Okay, whew, that's a relief. So I think there's probably a few people listening to this podcast who, their dream is maybe to move to Switzerland or at least to come to Switzerland on holiday, for example. And I think the big question for them is, do they need to learn Swiss German if they want to come here or even move here?
Well, I can't decide for them, but I think it's very difficult to learn Swiss German when you're not living in Switzerland, because there are not many books, and like I said, not a real grammar and things you can learn. So you could learn it maybe from abroad, but I think that must be extremely difficult. And has to be said, if you move to Switzerland, I think it's the same like if you would want to move to China. You don't need to speak Chinese before you go there. I think it's definitely an advantage. So, for example, if you move to Switzerland, it's definitely an advantage if you speak already one language. But if you don't, then just come and you will learn it here. You will learn it even faster. So.
Yeah, I could probably say something from my own experience at this point, which is when I moved to Switzerland roughly 8 years ago. I'd studied German at school to AS level, which is almost to the end of secondary school, you could say. I don't think I really expected Swiss German as it was. So that was a bit of a surprise. I didn't know so much about Switzerland until I got here. And I used to turn on the radio and just think, what on earth are they saying? Although I could speak, okay German at that point. But basically over time, you basically just hear it quite a lot and you come to understand it more. And I haven't personally studied Swiss German, although I would say I've listened to a lot of it because I often have to translate from things that are on TV or radio, for example, and you hear people talking it around you. So that's my personal experience of it.
Yeah, and like you said, I think when you come or move to Switzerland and you think you want to be a bit prepared, then I would rather learn High German before than Swiss German. Mm-hmm. Because then you can already read our newspapers, you can watch our TV, and you can listen to our radio, because some are in High German. Sure, some are, or most maybe are in Swiss German, but you have already one step in, and many words you still understand because they are so similar.
Exactly.
So, and High German is much easier to learn than Swiss German, I think.
Yeah, and you can, with High German, you can look up some words in a book or listen to something online, and then you've got your basic things like phrases you need to say in a shop or when you need to ask for something or how do I go wherever. You can use your High German. You don't need to speak Swiss German for that.
Yeah, totally. And I think, it's if you learn High German, I think it takes a while to learn it. And if you learn it in Switzerland, then maybe along the way you will understand more and more Swiss German as well, because it is just like an extreme dialect of High German. So at least you will understand. You will not be able to talk yourself in Swiss German, but you can understand at least what people are saying a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So it's quite a big discussion though in Switzerland amongst, expats or expats and immigrants, basically. I don't think anyone else is too fussed about it. But lots of people come here and I think they want to learn Swiss German. They want to be able to speak the same language as other people once they've decided to stay here for a bit longer or they have a Swiss partner. They want to be part of that, know the in-jokes and be part of the family or hang out with friends and speak the same as them. But it's extremely difficult and it's by no means impossible, I don't think, to speak some Swiss German. But we had quite a long discussion about this earlier. What's your take on learning Swiss German?
I think it's very nice if someone wants to learn Swiss German, but I have to say, till like a few years ago, I didn't even know that something like that exists, that people want to learn Swiss German, because it doesn't really make sense to me, because it's not, like I said, not a written language at least. So it's just a dialect, and I think it's maybe comparable to if I move to Scotland, that I would want to learn a Scottish dialect. So I think it's enough to learn English, and you don't really necessarily need to learn Scottish to feel like being part of the people there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's quite a good analysis actually, because clearly everyone in Scotland will understand you if you speak English, but it might sound a little bit strange if you try to learn a Scottish accent. I mean, clearly it's not exactly the same, but I guess that's kind of the closest we can get to it. But then, of course, if you lived, in the sort of Highlands in Scotland, you would naturally, I think, after some time, pick up a bit of a Scottish accent and pick up some of the words that they use. I think that's quite natural.
Yeah, and especially if you want to learn it, then you will with the time. And also, I think it's a big difference. For example, if you want to move to Switzerland, for example, and you think, I want to work here for 1, 2, 3, 5 years, then I don't think it really makes so much sense to learn Swiss German. Sure, if you want to, you can anyway, but I think it doesn't make so much sense. But if maybe your children are here and they're growing up here, you're married to a Swiss, or you just want to to become Swiss and want to be a part of Switzerland, then I can understand people want to learn the language because they're just very interested. But I think it's not really the first priority. Personally, I think it's much more helpful to learn German, so you have really an additional language that you learn.
Exactly, and of course you can also speak that outside of Switzerland, in Germany, for example. And one very important thing that we thought about when we were discussing this before was that, of course, if you learn Swiss German first, before you've ever learned High German, you're going to struggle to write, because if you're writing a report at work, for example, or you're writing a letter or writing anything except to a very good friend, you're going to need to write in High German.
Yes, totally. I think learning the language as an English speaker in Switzerland is anyway quite difficult because on one hand, as soon as people will realize you're an English speaker, then they want to practice their English as well, and they will switch straight away to English as well. So, and the second is if you, for example, come to me and you are talking in High German, then I would also switch straight away to High German just to be polite, and because I assume, you might don't understand Swiss German. So it's kind of not a real thought through process. It's just switching automatically. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's maybe if you understand German and you're living in England, and I come and try to speak English, but you can clearly understand that I am German speaker, then you might switch as well to German to tell me a few words and to show that you're nice.
Yeah, it's totally true. So I think if someone does move here and they're looking to learn the language, basically, there's a number of different courses, classes, teachers, language schools and institutions. There's basically a ton of them. I'd really say they're in abundance all over the country. And I think a good thing to do is, ask around, and if someone you know has a good teacher and a good class at your level, then go for it, because I think a good teacher and a nice group really makes a big difference.
Yeah, like I said before, I have not much experience because I didn't really know that people actually want to learn Swiss German. Mm-hmm. And just like we said at the beginning, but I think that's quite an important point, that you learn just one dialect of Swiss German. So, for example, if you move to Zurich, and you will not have the same dialect like people living in Bern. It's actually quite a different dialect, mm-hmm. and Bernese people would even say it's maybe not such a nice dialect.
Oh, let's not go there. It's extremely competitive between the different dialects and regions, but that's maybe something for another episode.
Yeah, maybe. But just to make it clear, so you just learn one dialect if you learn Swiss German.
Yeah. But if you want to learn, whether you want to learn Swiss German, we'll come back to that in a second, but in particular High German, there's many language schools, and I think probably the most well-known, very popular, probably because it's in all the big cities and towns and is sort of cheap to a mid-range price, is the Migros Clubschule. And this is a kind of adult education school, college, basically run by one of the big supermarket chains in Switzerland.
Yeah, exactly. They're just quite cheap and very good reputation. So
exactly, yeah. And it really depends on what kind of course you want to do, but you can take an online test to find out what your level is, and then it will cost you roughly 500 to 700 francs for about 40 lessons, which are 50 minutes each. And then you're looking at generally about 50 francs or so for textbooks. But
that's like £300-400 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. But it really depends on what level your course is, how long you're doing it for, what time of day. You need to look at all of these things. There's a number of other different types of schools, and I'll just mention a few of them because I've actually been to quite a few. And an interesting one is the Flying Teachers course, and that's quite a lot cheaper than many of the other courses because I think they use newly qualified staff. And you can, for example, do an intensive course there, which means you learn Monday to Friday every day. So, for example, if you're here looking for a job and you have a bit of money stored up to kind of get you on your feet, that's a good choice. The other thing you can do is, of course, if you come with a job to Switzerland, ask your employer if, as part of your kind of starting deal, they might pay for some classes for you. Maybe they'll run something at work at lunchtime and maybe some other people can join you. And in this case, the Berlitz language school is quite good for that. They're very focused and they compile a course for you depending on what you need to learn, like how do I talk in meetings and things like that. But
Yeah.
that's really at the other end of the price scale.
Yeah, to interrupt you, I think an important point here is that obviously it's easier to learn if you try to talk to someone. And like I said before, people will switch straight away to English as soon as they realize you're an English speaker. And I think you just should try to insist to just people that people talk to you in German or High German or Swiss German, and just try to keep talking and talking and talking. And maybe you just meet some friends, or you meet someone where you can say, oh, let's meet once a week and, make this...
It's a tandem, they call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Language swap, basically.
Yeah, where you talk in German and the other talk in English or something like that. And then also many other possibilities like... or you want to go on with the schools, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I had a few other things to say. I just wanted to mention one more thing about the schools, because it took me a while to find this out, actually. And that is that quite a good way to find a cheap-ish language course is to go to one of the kind of further education colleges that they have. For example, the Volkshochschule in Bern.
Volkshochschule, yeah.
Thank you very much. Or the EB Berufsschule in Zurich. And they're not specifically language schools, but they run language courses. And I think they're a little less well-known amongst expats and therefore possibly a bit cheaper.
Yeah, we will put all the links to our show notes on our website on swissandchips.com.
Exactly.
In case you're looking for that.
Yeah. But if someone is listening to this outside of Switzerland and they're not planning on moving here, we also looked up a few ways of learning German and Swiss German, which could be quite helpful.
Yeah, I think German, you know the usual ways there. You find online courses or apps to download and books, audiobooks. But I think Swiss German is a bit more difficult.
Yeah, it is. There's a good site that I found online called thelanguager.com, and they have kind of Swiss German beginner courses where you can listen to words being said and buy a book and so on. And there's also podcasts from Swiss radio and television that you can listen to in Swiss German once you're a bit more advanced, which could be quite handy, I think.
Yeah, and also this Sprachtandem you can do online as well, or via an app, I think. And then you just look for your language that you speak and the language you want to learn, and then you will find partners to swap. But also there we can just put a link online. So.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's a really nice idea to swap languages with someone.
Yeah, and you make friends maybe even.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so that's basically a brief introduction to how you could learn German or Swiss German. We'll put all the links on our website, as we said, swissandchips.com. But before we go, Esther asked us if she could hear the word for rabbit. And I was slightly confused by this request, I must admit. And I thought, do I even know the word for rabbit in Swiss German? I realised I have no idea what that is.
Well, maybe you want to explain where she asked.
Yeah, exactly. We've now got a Facebook group, which is really awesome. It's a super nice way for us to ask you things, and you can basically find us on Facebook. It is Switzerland for English Speakers.
Yes,
just search for that.
We are really excited about that. We hope that some English speakers or just English speakers in Switzerland, or also outside of Switzerland, English speakers who are fans of Switzerland, they will join, and hopefully one day it will grow that people can exchange a bit their opinions and recommendations and questions and so on. So we are really excited. And today we asked in the group if they have any questions, and this was one of them.
This was one of them. So please.
Well, I told you before, didn't I?
Yes. So please, take it away.
Well, the problem with rabbits is, aren't there, different sorts and kind and stuff? So one...
in English, we only have the rabbit, the bunny rabbit, or a hare, I think. That's probably completely wrong, but we don't have many terms for rabbits, no.
So, okay, the rabbit is a horse, but I guess she didn't mean that, because that sounds quite boring.
I thought
the other word is maybe that we use is Hüngel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's...
Hüngel.
Yeah, Hüngel. Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Oh, that's anyway. When you come to Switzerland, that's one of the first sentences people will tell you.
Yeah.
Can you tell Hochikashli?
Oh no, I knew it was going to come to this. I should have practiced. Hochikashli?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
I've been working on it for 8 years.
I don't know why Swiss always ask that, but...
Because it's extremely hard to pronounce. Did we say it means kitchen cupboard?
No, we didn't.
So basically, you'll never need to use that.
Kochikästli or käsküchli.
That you will need because they're yummy. Cheese quiches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, delicious.
Käsküchli and kochikästli.
And
you
rabbit.
can practice at home.
Chungel.
Exactly. I hope that answered some questions.
Yeah, and if you have more that we haven't answered, then join our Facebook group, Switzerland for English Speakers, and you can ask away to your heart's content.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, thanks for listening.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks, or how we would say in Swiss German.
I don't know.
Bis in 2 Wochen.
Genau.